Timeless 106.1 FM KFFB. This is Bob Connell. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our Open Mic program. We do have Senator Boozman with us and two special guests, Superintendent David Stevens and also Principal Ronnie Simmons with the Vilonia School District. Let's talk about what's going on here today. You guys had a special program giving appreciation to the teachers.
We did. We were on the Senate floor just thanking our teachers for the great job that they've done this last year in a very, just an unimaginably challenging time. Blessed in Arkansas staying open, which was a great thing. But I wanted to pat them on the back, tell them how much we appreciated them here, and then also make sure that they're getting the resources that they need to keep themselves safe, to continue to do a great job in educating our young people. We're moving out of the woods. We're not there yet, but we're getting close. Like I say, just all about telling our teachers, our administrators, all of those that make it possible that our young people get the quality education that they're getting here.
I'll never forget, David, on that Sunday when the governor gets a news conference on Sunday, my wife says, "Where are you going?" I said, "There's a news conference." And I said, "They're shutting the schools down." I mean, we took it live, and we were one of the stations that were there when it happened. And then we did updates thereafter. And all I could think of is, what in the world does this mean for school superintendents and schools? That was a challenging year, 2020.
It was a very challenging year, and it came upon us very quickly. We knew the previous week that there was some talk about possibly ending the school year early. But for myself, when I left my office on Friday, March 13th, I didn't expect it would be before the next Monday of school.
You know, that's something. And then you guys had to gear up for that of, well, how are you going to turn this thing around?
Yes. We wondered the same thing right at first. We kept expecting some type of announcement over spring break and kept waiting, and that didn't come. And then when it finally did come, we thought this might be a few days or a week, and then, that turned into weeks, and then the rest of the school year, which was incredible. So we all had to do something we talk about with PLCs all the time, build an airplane while you're flying it. So that's kind of what we did the whole first semester.
Another thing that the Vilonia is known for, unfortunately, is not something we like to talk about as the severe weather station, and that's tornadoes, 2011, then 2014. And a program note on that, my son-in-law that is with the Lewis Architects Engineering was showing me on Sunday night a virtual. This is kind of new technology back then. This is where you could literally walk through and see the rooms, and they even had people, I thought. I mean, it was breathtaking. I said, it's the most beautiful facility I guess I've ever seen. He says, it's going to look just like that. He says, it is like that. This is what we see. It's neat to walk through. And the next night, they had a tornado that took that entire building down.
Right. No, it's hard to imagine, and the community came together, the whole region came together, and it is remarkable what they've achieved in such a short period of time.
And that's what's tough as a new superintendent. That was kind of like, that was an awakening for you because you just basically were hired and coming on board.
Yeah, we actually, I was working in Missouri at the time, and my mother-in-law actually lives in Vilonia. I remember my wife and I were sitting at the house, and she called and said, we're heading for the shelters. And then I just turned the TV on, started watching it, and just from Missouri, just kind of watched it all unfold. And after the dust settled, like the next day, I called the school and kind of got an idea of what was going on. And yeah, it was difficult. I mean, obviously more difficult for everybody here.
You know, and that's one thing we say, that's something you don't live a tornado till you really live a tornado, because every community's had a tornado. They act different. For us radio guys, we say, there's a tornado warning. I've had remotes. There's a tornado warning. They just go on like nothing. After that, it's a total different feeling. And I know, Ronnie, you felt the same thing. Once you felt this and seen the destruction, there's some things you had to overcome with students as well.
Right. Yeah. For a while after the big tornado in 14, anytime there would be thunder or lightning outside, our students would get nervous and scared automatically. If the tornado sirens ever sounded and we would have to evacuate to the safe room, students moved very, very quickly. They took it very seriously, and they still get nervous. It's been several years since then, and some of these don't remember it as well as they used to, the students we used to have, but it's still a very eye-opening experience, and our students never forget that. They always think about it when it starts getting stormy.
Well, the architect, my son-in-law, they just said, we're going to rebuild it, and they did. But what's awesome about that, I always think there's a blessing in disguise, is when you rebuild a new house, you always say, darn it, I should have done something different. There's a lot of things changed a little bit, made it better when they rebuilt it.
There is, and I was just sitting here thinking, I grew up in Fort Smith, and Fort Smith has had a tornado. Greenwood had a massive tornado, and living in the Rogers area now, tornado there a year or two ago. I mean, these things are common, but you're right. The community has done such a great job, and you want to make it such that you do wind up better. My hope is that the pandemic will be the same way. That we've learned so much. We talk about things like broadband and supporting our community hospitals, our schools. So at the end of the day, there's been so much tragedy that come out of these things, but there are good things that we can learn from.
Better for the students, for sure. I mean, this pandemic's made it where you guys have reevaluated everything, and it's just like the tour today going through the school. This is a beacon for education.
Yes, I mean, and I don't think public education is ever going to be the same on the other side of this pandemic, because I think, one of the good things that have come from this is it has caused us to refocus on why we do what we do and have a rationale and a reasonable rationale for why we require the things we require and what really is important. And so all through this year, we've just been revisiting what we do and why we do it. And so I don't believe, I know Vilonia School District will never be the same, will be better. And I got to tell you, I got to give credit where credit's due. It's because of our staff. Our staff is probably the finest staff I've ever worked with. This is my 13th year as a superintendent. And I don't think I've ever worked with a group of such quality people. On March, the 15th, when the news came out, we weren't going back to school. We were already getting comments from teachers, just tell us what we need to do, tell us what we need to do. Comments from maintenance and custodian and food service and transportation, tell us what our next step is, just tell us what we need to do. And that has been the attitude of our staff, instructional staff and classified staff from day one up till now. Just tell us what we need to do to keep having school, because they all genuinely care about kids and all recognize that for many kids, this is the best place they can be during the day. This is the safest place. This is their place. And our folks did an outstanding job of protecting that for our kids. Can't say enough about them.
Also, probably not only tell us what to do, but just jumping in and doing it in many cases. And just solving problems that never had ever existed in the educational system before.
Right. And just the flexibility. I mean, that just kind of became our catchphrase was be graceful, show grace, because we're all in this together. We're all trying to figure it out. And yes, exactly, Senator Boozman, there would be times where, you'd get a report of what a group of teachers were doing to address the needs of their kids. And you think, that is an amazing idea. That's awesome. Let's see how we can replicate that across the district. So just an amazing job by our folks here in Vilonia.
And that's what this appreciation to teachers is all about. And that proclamation is because they're the ones that had to step it up.
No, very much so. And we're just so proud of them and the great job that Arkansas has done. And again, it's hard to imagine, but solving problems that simply hadn't come up before and really doing an outstanding job. I appreciate the fact that, our superintendent commented about how things will be different, in the sense that we have learned a lot. Sometimes change is hard. But when you're in an emergency situation, you can break down those barriers immediately. And I think we're going to benefit from that, not only in education, but so many other things.
Well, thanks so much for joining us for a special open mic program. We have Superintendent David Stevens, also Ronnie Simmons, principal of the school here. And it's been such an amazing trip when you look back and things. It's so different than it was a year and a half ago.
Well, we're getting back to some normalcy now. And I think the nation is very, very excited about that. So that's a good thing.
Well, guys, again, thank you for being with us, and a beacon, really, to education. I mean, it was a great tour that we got to see of the facilities, and not only the tornado, which you guys had to overcome, but then the pandemic. So this is something that all of Arkansas looks to the beacon that you guys have been.
Well, I appreciate y'all being here. We're very proud of what's going on in Vilonia and love to have the opportunity to show it off. So,
Thank you again for joining us.
Thank you very much.